Hey, everybody. Elizabeth Gilbert! The Elizabeth Gilbert! Hello. Did y'all believe this book? Whoa, huh? Wow. I said, Elizabeth, honey, child. What you been doing in there? My 118th book club pick. It was written by the brilliant Elizabeth Gilbert. And it's called All the Way to the River. All the Way to the River. It's about love and loss and liberation. And it may shock you with some of its surprising revelations and its raw honesty, but it will cause you to look deeply into your own psyche, your own consciousness, and examine why you do the things you do and why you've made the choices you've made. That's how you know you've written a great memoir. Because although it's about you and your life with Rayya, it also causes everybody to think about their own and the crazy-ass choices you might have made along the way.
That's my job, Oprah, to make everybody think about the crazy-ass choices they've made along the way.
Many people have the idea that you have already eaten and prayed and loved your way through your demons, that you have it all figured out.
Mm-hmm.
But this book is so revealing and gorgeously written. It's an account of what happened after your second divorce, when you fell in love with your partner, Rayya. In 2016, Elizabeth announced to her followers on social media that she was ending her 9-year marriage to the man she met and fell in love with at the end of her best-selling memoir, Eat, Pray, Love. 2 months later, in another social media post, Elizabeth revealed she was in love with her best friend of 15 years, Rayya Elias. At the time, Rayya was diagnosed with pancreatic and liver cancer. Doctors told her she had 6 months to live. In 2017, the couple celebrated with what Elizabeth calls a simple, spontaneous ceremony of love.
Now, it may not be that long that I'm around, but I'll forever love you.
Rayya died at the age of 57 in 2018. It's so interesting because you talk in the beginning of the book about Rayya coming to visit you on your 54th birthday. Tell us that.
Okay, yeah, we'll start with that. So on the morning of my 54th birthday, I woke up and I felt that Rayya was in the room with me. This isn't going to be shocking to a lot of people who've had people that they love die.
Right.
I feel some nods in the room happening already.
Right.
Sometimes the line between death and life is very thin, these thin places, and spirit comes through.
She'd come to you before, though,
She had come to me before. She'd been very deeply present in the immediate aftermath of her death. I felt like we were in constant conversation. I felt like she was living inside my head, and the conversation had never ended. And then as the years went by, that was sort of lost, you know, and I couldn't feel her as much. But I woke up and she was in the room, and she was in the room with this very commanding energy. And those of you who've read the book know that Rayya had a very commanding energy.
Yes.
And she was like, I've got something to tell you, and it's extremely important. And I grabbed my journal that's always by my bed, and I started to transcribe what I was hearing. And what she was saying was...
Okay, could you see her? Do you see her?
No, I can't
it's just
see
a voice.
her. I can hear her.
Okay.
And it's the same, actually. My relationship with God is very similar. I don't see things, but I hear. I hear a voice that I know is God. I heard a voice that I knew was Rayya.
And you knew it was Rayya.
I knew it was Rayya. And I just grabbed this notebook, and as trying to keep up with her...
Yeah.
Started writing down, which is the beginning first chapter of the book, in which she says to me, and at that point she'd been dead for five and a half, 6 years.
Yes.
She said, it's time for you to write this book. It's time for you to tell this story. It's time for you to tell the entire story. Don't hold anything back. Go, in her words, full punk rock with it.
Full punk rock.
Lay it all on the table. Don't protect my dignity. Don't protect your dignity. It's time to write.
She said, because I don't need dignity.
She goes, I'm dead. I don't need dignity.
Yeah.
And she said, but you don't need it either.
Yeah.
And actually, it's going to help people. And I knew it to be Rayya because when Rayya was in her right mind, when she was sober and clean, there was nobody who loved the truth more. And there was nobody who was more willing to put the truth out on the table and say, let's just put this out on the table so that we can deal with it, because we can't deal with it unless we see what it is, right? That was her great talent, was for deep truth. And so I started writing the book that day. And I didn't want to write the book. I mean, there was a reason that 6 years had passed since her death and I had not written this book, despite a lot of people saying, We want you to tell the love story about you and Rayya. I'm like, I don't know if you can handle the love story about me and Rayya.
Yeah.
You know, like if I'm going to put out there what actually occurred, it's very dark. It doesn't reflect well on either one of us at multiple points. And I also didn't want to relive the trauma. You know, I was like, this was the most traumatic thing I ever went through. I don't want to talk about that.
I have to say, considering who you are in the world and the world's impression of who you are in the world, this is the bravest thing I've ever seen. It's just the bravest thing because you could have just kept this story to yourself and allowed people to think that you had eaten and prayed and loved and everything was still just perfectly okay. But instead, as I said, you have opened up your soul in such a way. This book is going to free so many people. I think that what Rayya had said to you, like, write the shit out of this thing, that you actually did do that and did it in such a way that I remember years ago on the Oprah show trying to explain what love addiction was. And it's so hard to explain it to people because our culture tells us that's what we're supposed to be. You're supposed to be in love and you're supposed to give all and you're supposed to do all of that stuff. This audience has read the book and I hear you all devoured it. So why did you love it? Tawana?
Hello. Well, I loved the book because I'm the daughter of a mother who struggles with a substance use disorder. And I think it really impressed upon me the importance of grace and how deserving everyone is, including those who struggle with the substance use disorder, how deserving they are of love, of deep love. And there is a tendency to want to fix it. But I think this just gave some insider information to the depth of emotion and the ups and downs and consequence, but also joy and happiness that we sometimes can't understand because we're so busy trying to fix.
To fix it. How about you, Cassidy? Where's Cassidy? Hi.
Hi. I have to say, I didn't read books before this, and I have never felt so connected to a book as this one. And I just wanted to say, I myself have gone through journeys of addiction and love and grieving a loss right now, and being able to understand really the truth of where I've been and how codependency really has shaped the way of where I'm at in life and how to embrace it. But also, it's helped me understand how to put some boundaries in place and to embrace the fact that, yes, I understand my own addictions to love and sex and codependency, and being able to see where I'm at today and walking with my inner child and showing her what's coming up next is very exciting. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you'd been best friends with Rayya for many years. She started out as your hairdresser.
Yes. She was my hairdresser and then became a social friend and then became a neighbor and then became my best friend and then became something I no longer had words for because I didn't know that I was slowly falling in love with her, but I was also slowly giving my power to her. I was, over time I came to...
But you wanted to in the beginning.
Oh, all I've ever wanted to do is give my power to somebody, Oprah.
Yes.
All I've ever wanted to do is be like, who's got me? Who do I have to give this to so that they will take care of me completely so that I don't have to do it?
One of the headings in the book I love is, will you be my home?
Yeah.
Because remember Babe the Pig when he'd go up to everybody and say, will you be my mom? Will you be my mom?
Yeah.
And your will you be my home?
Desperate.
Is like the desperation of Babe the Pig. Will you be my mom? Because you just want somebody to love
Who's going to take care of me?
Who's going to take care of me?
Right? Now, here's the irony, which some of you may also recognize in your own lives. Every single person I ever thought was going to take care of me, I ended up taking care of, but only 100% of the time, right? Every woman in the room's like, yes, I know.
Yes.
I'm looking for, who's the hero who's going to rescue me, right? And then I give myself to them, and then I end up having to take care of them. And I end up empty because I've now emptied myself into somebody. I have my friend Emma, who's British, says, it's bad maths, Liz. It's bad maths. The maths of codependency goes like this. I'm going to take all the love and all the resources and everything that I have and everything I am, and I'm going to pour it into you. And then I'm going to stand outside of you like I'm standing outside a pawn shop begging you to give me some of it back, right? I'm going to beg you to give me some love. Meanwhile, I've just emptied myself of all that I contain into you. And now I'm going to beg for scraps. And I've heard it called a crumaholic too. I'm going to beg for crumbs. I'm going to beg for scraps. Now, that's bad math, right? It's like, what if we cut out the middleman and you just pour all of that love and resources into yourself, right? But I didn't know how to do that, and I didn't think I was worthy of that. And I was taught by my culture that what you do is you go out and, especially women are taught this.
Yes.
You get love by pouring in, and then you hope that you get some back.
That's right.
And you give up and sacrifice for this person.
This is why you write later in the book that women who are married end up being unhappier because they've given, where on the other hand, the men who are married are just fine because they are the ones who are being taken care of. They're the ones who everybody is pouring everything into.
This is called the marriage benefit imbalance. And marriage is a very good deal for men. It's not a good deal for women. I don't know what the statistics are in same-sex marriages because I don't think it's been studied. But the question remains, who's playing the traditional role of the wife in this relationship, meaning who's overgiving, right? Who is overgiving to somebody with the hope that they will maybe give love back to them? And I think the reason that it's so hard that love addiction and sex addiction have not really gotten the prominence that alcohol and substance abuse is because, first of all, it's really working for men.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really working for them, And so I think the stories that keep being fed to girls of like, you're going to find your prince and he's going to take care of you, continually keep pushing girls and women into this dream where the reality is you're probably very likely going to end up taking care of him.
Yes. Now you write on page 35, I've caused tremendous harm to myself and others through my decades of sex and love addiction. Now, we all know that there are amazing manifestations of how this shows up in everybody's life. But for me, that sentence and the passage that follows is the fundamental reason for everything else that follows in this book. And I wanted you to read the text passage for us from page 35. Begins with, there are not a lot of women.
There are not a lot of women out there who will publicly admit to being sex and love addicts because it sounds pretty gnarly. In fact, it is gnarly. I won't get into salacious details here, but I will say that my addiction manifests as a sincere yet deeply misguided belief that somebody outside of myself will miraculously be able to heal me on the inside, thereby making me feel safe, cherished, and whole at last. In real-life terms, this translates as a desperate need to have my existence constantly authenticated and re-authenticated through a romantic partner's touch, eye contact, verbal reassurance, acts of love, or mere physical presence. My desperation to be loved is certainly outsized, and it has caused me to act out in ways that are undeniably insane. Yet I suspect that parts of my story may feel familiar to many of my readers, especially my female readers, who, like me, may have been socialized since birth to believe that they did not possess much inherent value, but were estimable only insofar as they were capable of making themselves attractive enough to be chosen. Failing to succeed in this massively important project of proving yourself worthy of being chosen meant that you were a failure, and that nothing else you ever manifested would have much significance in anybody's eyes.
Wow.
Yeah.
You believe that you suffer from what is known as process addiction. So what is that? Which is different than substance addiction, which is what Rayya was
right.
afflicted with.
So substance addictions are addictions to chemicals that you take in through alcohol, through drugs, nicotine. Your body becomes dependent upon these substances and you physiologically need them, legal, illegal drugs. Process addictions are addictions to certain behaviors. But what happens is that your brain chemistry actually is changed by these behaviors. And so people who, like me, may have a very insecure attachment disorder, or may have had traumatic incidences in their childhood that led them to have a lot of trouble knowing where boundaries are, or knowing who to trust, or knowing how to find safety. It's been estimated that people with process addictions get approximately 10 times amount of the hit off of various activities that other people do. So gambling is a process addiction, shopping, spending money, overeating is a process addiction, sex and intimacy and deep need for connection is a process addiction. So where you, a normal person, whatever that is, might feel some warmth and some tenderness when you have physical touch with somebody, I get high off it. Like I get a dump of oxytocin into my blood system that is so high that my system then kind of acclimates to that and then it needs it again. And then it needs it again. And then it needs, just like any addiction, it needs a higher and higher
That's
and
what you
higher
mean
dosage.
by your need to be loved is so outsized.
So outsized.
Yeah. And
right?
falling in love for you is like a drug, because you said
Yes.
on page 38, I don't need alcohol and drugs to alter my consciousness that other people might experience pleasurable sensations. I get wasted.
I get wasted. And I lose my judgment. I lose my dignity. And very soon it will end up with me begging, right? I'm begging, and I need you to look at me the way you used to look at me. I need you to touch me the way you used to touch me. I need to get high off of that, and I will do anything to stimulate that. I'll do anything. So I will give you all my money. I'll buy you presents. I'll abandon my responsibilities for you. I will throw my entire life away completely and immediately, right? So quickly, I will disappear, and I'll be looking into your face. What do you need me to be? Mm-hmm. Who do you need me to be? So that you will give me back what I just gave to you, which is all my power.
Were you
That's
this
the
way
exchange.
were you this way in your relationship with the man you married at the end of Eat, Pray, Love?
A little bit, but I want to be careful not to talk about that marriage, just out of respect to somebody who I still love so dearly. But it didn't get triggered as hard. It mostly and more gets triggered by unavailable people.
Oh.
And there's
Let the church say.
right.
The church went, amen. When they're
I
not
can only
available.
really get high off someone who will probably destroy me, right? That's a little bit of, but there's a reason for that. And I was taught this when I first came into recovery. A very wise older woman said, and you can all play this game at home. List 5 adjectives to describe your childhood. So I'll throw out creative, fascinating, cold, difficult, withholding. Now, if I meet somebody who is the description of those 5 things, that smells like home cooking to me. That's home. There's something in my nervous system that's like, oh, that's home.
Oh, somebody's withholding, you are going to be drawn to that.
100%. Creative, interesting, dangerous.
Yeah.
That just feels like home. And I think karmically what it is, to use a word, or maybe there's a psychological reason for this, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to recreate home, but this time it works.
Yeah.
Right? So
This time it's really going to be different.
And this time is the 2 favorite words of an addict. Well, this time it's going to be different because this time, this time, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to control a trauma response, right?
Yeah.
So it's like if I can find somebody to play that out with who is brilliant and creative and dangerous and withholding and scary and exciting, now I, as adult, I'm like, well, my child self is like, well, let's now do this, but this time we're going to figure out a way that they're going to love us.
But the reason-
So then when they do, it's like the child is healed until they don't.
Until they don't.
And then we relive that trauma all over again.
The reason why All the Way to the River was such a shock to me, and I'm assuming you all too, is because we thought you, of all people, had it all figured out.
Me too.
We thought you had it all figured out.
I know.
And then to come to find out, not only did you not have it all figured out, that
I didn't have any of it figured out.
No, but even when okay, so let's talk about this for a moment. Talk about this when fame hits you like that, because Eat, Pray, Love was this phenomenon. It really was. And Julia Roberts is playing you in the film, and the checks are coming from the book and the movie, and all of a sudden you have all of this money. What did that do? The fact that you couldn't receive it and accept it. Tell us the story that you share in the book about going down the street giving away your money.
Okay, so here's what I want to say about Eat, Pray, Love. I was 34.
Okay.
That's young, right? But I was precocious. But I did at the end of Eat, Pray, Love feel that I had healed, that I had landed on a bunch of things. But also, look what I did. I left a man for another man.
Yeah.
And then I was heartbroken by that. And then I went out in the world and I had a few adventures and then I met another man.
Yeah.
So when I watch Eat, Pray, Love now, and I love the movie, and I thought they did, and of course we love Julia.
Yeah.
I look at that film and I'm like, look at this woman. It's 2 hours long. She's with 3 different men, right? Look what you're doing.
I forgot about that part. Yeah. yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
The answer the best solution I could always come up with was find somebody better, find somebody different. Who are you going to take care of me now, right? So some of the people that I chose for that role in my life were better at it than others. The man who I married was very good at loving me. So that kept me sort of sedated for a while. But that didn't mean that my central core wound was healed, right? I feel like I was being nicely sedated by somebody being very kind and loving. But you asked your question. The addiction was always there. An addict is an addict is an addict, right? The addiction was always there.
Okay.
And the deep, what they call in the rooms, the God-sized hole was always there. It's a hole that is so big that it doesn't matter what you put into it, it won't fill it. So fame, you can pour fame into it, it's going to go right out the back. You can pour money into it, it's going to go right out the back. You can pour somebody's true love into it, it's going to go right out the back.
Yeah,
There's a hole. The only thing that's going to fill it is God.
Yes.
The only thing that can fill an infinite hole is an infinite source, right? So we'll get to that later, I presume.
Yes.
You know, but I suddenly became really rich, and I had such a low sense of self-worth that I was like, well, this is a karmic accident. I was never supposed to be somebody who was rich. I was supposed to be a starving artist. I can't even hold this money without feeling deeply uncomfortable with it. It's not mine. Like the feeling I had was, it's not mine. It's coming to me, but it's not mine. It's for whoever wants it, which is also how I've always felt about my body.
Wow.
It's not mine. It's for whoever wants it. So
you opened yourself up to that.
So the incident that you are discussing is that I walked down the streets of my small town in New Jersey and started just giving money to people. I started walking into local businesses. It was after 2008, after the stock market crashed, and I was like, oh, these people need. Like wherever there was need, I was like, oh, they need it, you know? And I believe I am a deeply generous person. But this was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy. I was walking up to strangers and being like...
I think I'm a generous person too, but I'm not that. I think responsibility comes with you have to be able to give money to people who know what to do with that money, and they're going to use that money in a wise...
How am I going to know how to do that?
Okay.
Right? How am I going to know how to do that?
So you're just walking down the street and going...
Whatever, anybody.
Anybody
right?
need any money?
Does anybody need anything from me? You know, and then Time Magazine's like, we're going to name you as one of the 100 most influential people in the world. And I'm like, okay, now everybody needs me, right? So I'm just going to show up as the giver, because that's part of that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to overgive. That's all I know how to do. Yeah. I'm going to overgive of my love, of my heart, of my pocketbook, of my wallet. And you would think when you just give people money and you say, here, take this, people would be happy about it. But you ended up in lawsuits. You ended up with people being upset that they didn't... A mess. A mess. A stew of resentments and problems and issues. And, you know, some of those people I'm still friends with, but those were the people who loved me before I had money. They loved me anyway. Yeah. I was just throwing money at them because I have a psychosis, right? But they were just like, they loved me anyway. Some of those people cross the street when they see me coming, you know, because we got into such resentment and difficulty and codependency. One of my favorite lines of the book is my definitions of codependency, and one of them is the codependence motto: "You break it, we fix it." Right? And so if you give a codependent a ton of money, you know, all I'm going to do is try to use it to fix everything. Because if I can fix the world and make the world okay, then I'll be okay.
Okay.
And the same bad math as if I can love you so much, then you'll love me, and then I'll be okay. And meanwhile, someone in here is not getting taken care of at all.
So let's get to Rayya's cancer diagnosis and what happened after that. So she's diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah. So she was diagnosed with terminal pancreatic and liver cancer and given 6 months to live. By that point, she was firmly established in my consciousness as the most important person in my life, my ground of being, my foundation. I now see I had made her into my higher power. And I've heard addiction described as false worship. Right? You make something into your God. You make the alcohol into your God. You make the drug into your God. I made her into my God. Mm-hmm. So now I'm losing my God. Like, it's not just that she's dying and my friend is dying. It's like, the feeling I had was, I will not survive this. This is a world not living in without Rayya in it. I don't know how to take care of myself. She's the one who makes me feel like I'm taken care of. And in the aftermath of that, I finally found a word for what it was that I was feeling for. It was like, oh, I'm in love with this person. And I can't let her, and I still see that there was no other way this was going to go, given who we were and what the realities of our spirits were. I couldn't let her die without letting her know that you are not just my friend, you are the love of my life.
Right. And so you told her?
Yeah, I told my husband first.
Yes, good.
But I told her, and very quickly, my husband and I separated, and I went to be with Rayya.
She had moved into your house by that time.
I had a couple houses and she was living in one of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was living in the church house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's an interesting thing, because I thought, so many of us do this. I live by this principle of intention, understanding that whatever you intend is actually going to determine the outcome. So I love this moment where you've invited her to come to stay at the house, and you've invited her for 9 months, and then that time is up. You want her to continue to stay. So you offer her the opportunity to write her own book. You make her an offer that she cannot refuse.
Yeah.
Because who's going to turn down that? And if you stay here, you can just live here. You can just live here for free. Who's going to turn down that? But the real reason you were doing it, your real intention was you had a fear of losing her.
Yeah.
And that I'm going to hold you to this contract of writing a book, and it's going to look like you're writing a book, but really it's keeping you in my life.
That's
because
exactly it.
I'm too afraid to lose you.
And that was when we were just friends.
Yes.
So she had come out and lived at this church that I was offering to people to use as an artist residency for 9 months. And at the end of that 9 months, I had realized who she was. And what it did to my nervous system when she walked in to the room was that I calmed down when Rayya was there. I felt this absence of something that I'd felt my whole life, which was this low-grade terror that I've always had of everyone in the room. Because Rayya handled people so well that when she came into the room, I felt deeply safe. And that sense of safety that I could not provide for myself, that she was able to provide, made me completely dependent on her. And what I did when I said, why don't you stay, was a little something we call manipulation.
Yes.
And I feel like this is the part of the book where perhaps I most reveal the parts of myself I don't want anybody to know about me. But it was like, I can't live without you. I don't know how to take care of myself. I'm terrified of the world. Your presence makes me feel like the world isn't scary. What am I going to have to do to make sure that you don't leave? And you're not my romantic partner, and I'm married, right? So I was like, oh, I'm going to generously offer you a writing grant, just so that you can stay. And this is me pulling the strings of somebody else's life to get what I want, which is what addicts do, right? You lose your integrity and you start manipulating people, places, and things to get the drug that you need. Because at that point, I was using her as a sedative.
Okay. When she starts to drink the bitters or take the bitters, and you look the other way, and you realize, oh, the bitters are like, what?
47% alcohol.
47% alcohol. She's not supposed to be taking alcohol or drinking alcohol. And she comes to you and says, babe, do you mind if I have a glass of wine? Because other friends of mine have said that I should have some wine. And you say yes, but inside yourself, you know that that's not the right answer. Or do you?
I'm pretty good at compartmentalizing.
Yes.
I often think, I don't know if you all have this, but I think there's things that some parts of us don't allow other parts of us to know yet because we can't handle it.
Yeah.
So Rayya was an addict in recovery. She had at that point 17 years sober. She was a heroin and drug addict. In the rooms of 12-step recovery, it is an acknowledged truth that there is no difference between substances when it comes to addiction. And although she was a drug addict, she should not be drinking alcohol because that is also a mind-altering substance. And sobriety is, I do not take mind-altering substances, right? So when she suddenly said that she wanted to start drinking, there was a little part of me that was like, is that a good idea for somebody who lived on this, a low bottom addict, jails, institutions, it's not a good idea, but she was also very convincing that it was fine. And the bottom line was, I say in the book, I overlooked it rather than looking it over because I couldn't have there be any flaws with my God.
Yes. Because by this time, you've made her into a god.
Yes.
I love what you say early on in the book, page 9. What we commonly call an addict, I believe, is just an exaggerated version of all of us. Just a person so desperately in search of relief from the sting of life that they will use anything or anyone to soothe it. I hope for your own sake that you've never fallen quite as low as Rayya and I fell at some points during our journey together. But even if your wheels have never fully come off, I suspect at some level that I might be you and that you might be me and that all of us might be Rayya. Can you expand on what an addict is, just an exaggerated version of all of us?
It's extremely uncomfortable being a spirit in human form.
Yes.
I don't personally believe that we come from this planet. I think we visit here. And I think we make this decision to come to what I call and many people call Earth School.
Yeah, I believe that too.
And I believe it is the toughest curriculum it is a highly accredited school. I don't care how privileged you were, you know this, and I know this. There's nobody who moves through the experience of Earth School without trauma. And then there are these magical substances that you can take that ease that pain. And then there are these amazing people you can meet who seem to be able to ease that pain. There are these activities that you can do that can make you numb out. There's ways that you can escape your curriculum. And I think addiction is what happens when the escape that first, it always feels good at first, right? It's like, okay, here's relief. When the relief becomes a problem.
During Rayya's last year of life, award-winning filmmaker Mark J. Francis followed Liz and Rayya through some extraordinary moments of love, loss, and their search for meaning.
I'm just asking for a little grace, a little mercy. So, please help me.
Okay.
I like a chick that likes to keep me drugged up. That's me. Little Miss Cotton Socks.
The film titled Here I Am will be released in 2026. For more information, go to www.speakit.org. So how soon after she moved in and you all were together did it start to spiral?
I'm pretty good at holding things together, but I would say that I became aware pretty early on that, oh God, I'm watching my mind go back and forth between denial and realization, denial and realization, denial and realization. I mean, any of you who have ever been in a difficult relationship would also probably find that question hard to answer. When did you know? Well, you kind of always knew, but then you also kind of never knew. I don't know, like it's almost like having a head injury. Like honestly, it's like, what was I doing? But I will say this, very quickly she became somebody who I was deeply reliant upon. And very quickly that reliance started to create anxiety in me. Like, what am I going to do if she goes? Like, what am I going to do if I lose?
And was the diagnosis still 6 months? You're still working on a 6 month?
Or we're talking about right after she was...
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. So right after she was diagnosed with cancer, very quickly, I left my marriage to go and be with her. The diagnosis was 6 months, and we kind of went on a bender together. I mean, there was the trauma and the drama of you've got 6 months to live, but there was also, we've been in love with each other for a long time, and we've both been keeping our hands to ourselves and been very good. She had also been in love with me during that time, as it turned out. And so we had all the heady excitement and joy of being newly in love at the same time as the terror and the trauma of death. So it was a very heightened time. Something I've learned a lot about in recovery is addiction to excitement, and addiction to drama. And when you have an unregulated nervous system and you don't know how to soothe yourself, addiction to drama can be a way that you act out. And what I've learned now is that I was always afraid of being bored, so I've always had a very high drama, high octane, high excitement life. But somebody in the rooms explained it to me that excitement and boredom are just two sides of the same coin, and that coin is actually called anxiety. And
Interesting.
So when serenity's not on the menu, when you don't know how to regulate yourself, when you don't know how to feel well, when you don't know how to be okay, and you feel the anxiety that comes with that, you've got two choices. You can feel restless, irritable, and discontent, bored, or you can go override the feeling of anxiety by piling on a whole bunch of excitement, adrenaline addiction, cortisol addiction, right? If you grow up with a lot of drama and trauma, your body actually gets used to very high levels of cortisol and adrenaline, and that also feels like home.
That's right.
So we went on an adrenaline ride.
That's why some people just thrive in chaos.
Yes.
Seemingly, they thrive in chaos.
Yes.
There was a point in your relationship where you write that you were trapped in hell.
Yeah.
Right? and you said you could see no way out. The apartment that you were renting became a dungeon of misery and danger and degradation.
Yeah.
And this was like in New York City,
Yeah.
a 2-bedroom,
My
fantastic.
beautiful apartment I rented for my
Yes.
partner so she would be happy in the last months of her life. And then she started taking all the opioids for the pain, for the cancer. And then that just triggered fully an addiction that I think had been getting triggered for a long time since she'd started drinking. She added cocaine, she added cigarettes, she added trazodone, she added methadone, suddenly there was like a cocktail of drugs in her, and she became a full-on junkie.
Baby, I want to bring a cigarette in here and smoke it. You do it.
And she wasn't a very nice one. Her nephew at one point said to me, I wish Auntie Ray was a nicer drug addict. But she wasn't. She was a really mean drug addict.
What kinds of things would she say to you?
She was abusive. She was abusive and degrading and demanding and entitled. And I'm a good little codependent. So, you start abusing me, I'm going to work harder to make you happy. And so we got into that cycle really, really quickly.
At one point, you were going to the free clinic for needles?
Oh, yeah. And I got recognized there, Oprah. I went to the
No.
free clinic to get needles for my drug addict partner down in Chinatown at a New York City needle exchange. And I walked in and the woman went, oh my God. And then she remembered it's an anonymous program. You're not supposed to be like, I know you, when people come in to get needles for their drug addiction. She hands me a clipboard and I fill it out that I'm a heroin addict. And the whole time she's looking at me like, I love your books, and I'm like, I'm a heroin addict and I need some needles. And she's like, okay. But I didn't want Rayya to have to go down there because that would have been shameful for her. So I'll do it. Like, that's how good an enabler I am. I'll do that for you. I will
Wow.
go get your needles.
What did you feel when the woman recognized you and you were there to
I
get
turned
free
it into
needles?
a funny story. Actually, it is fun. I mean, it is objectively a funny story.
Yes.
I mean, she looked at me and she was like, oh my God, Elizabeth Gilbert. And then she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then there's no like playbook for what do you do when you're at a needle exchange getting, and you're like a best-selling author and like somebody meets their hero and it's you, but you're picking up needles for heroin. Like so this is how I handled it. I just went, what is that? I'm like, what am I even telling her? Like, I'm like a little wink, like a little hey. I'm like, I don't even know what this means or why I'm doing this, but I'm like, hey, we're just, doing this. Yeah, and I was paying for her cocaine and I was I was giving her whatever she wanted so that she would love me again.
When I got to the chapter titled Plotting, weren't you all just like, I thought, whoa, what is going on here?
Yeah.
You reached a point where you actually thought about murdering her
Yeah.
and also killing yourself or murdering her.
Well, first I was going to kill her, and then I realized I couldn't because she was too cunning. She kind of smelled it in the air, and then I was like, oh, I could just again cut out the middleman, and I could just kill me. And that was my rock bottom.
Did you read the
moment.
beginning of this chapter for
Yeah.
us?
I say in the book, I'm the nice lady who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, and I was going to murder. I was actually going to murder. It was in July of 2017 that I came up with a really good idea for what would save me from the nightmare that I was now trapped in with Rayya. I decided I would kill her.
So how low had it gotten at that point?
That's how low it had gotten, and I hadn't slept in weeks. I was absolutely in the lowest of my degradation of codependency, enabling, like my life had become sort of Sid and Nancy, just this, I was acting in ways and doing things that I never imagined I could have done. But that wasn't why I was upset. I was upset because she was being mean to me. I was upset because the person who I had created as my God, who would take care of me, was being abusive, and had taken her love from me, which I was now, the end game always of codependency, begging a junkie to give me, right? So we were both in...
Begging the junkie to give you and to be nice to me.
Begging a heroin addict who was shooting cocaine between her toes and into her neck to give me safety, nourishment, and love. This person is going to give me safety, nourishment, and love.
Wow.
Right? That's where we had gotten to. And there's a moment where, when I tried to kill her and then she kind of figured out I was trying to kill her and she was like, don't you start plotting against me. She was a smart survival. Nobody was going to kill Rayya.
Yeah.
But there was a divine moment of intervention there where I heard God's voice. And I was very far from God at that point. When you're deep in addiction, you're very, very far from being able to hear God's voice. But God's voice penetrated that insanity.
Tell us what God's voice
said. And God said, if you have reached a point in your life where you are seriously considering killing yourself or somebody else, you have very likely reached the end of your power. That being the case, perhaps you should call somebody and ask for help.
And you did.
And I did. And I spent the rest of that day sobbing, sitting in a dog park in New York City, calling person after person, anybody who had experience with drug addiction, and just pulling wisdom down. And what was really interesting was that I was trying to get them to figure out how to help me get Rayya off drugs. But what they were saying to me was, you have a problem. Somebody said,
it hadn't occurred to you that you had a problem?
No. I had a problem. Her name was Rayya. I had to fix her.
Yeah.
You know, but I didn't have a problem. I'm the person who takes care of everybody and fixes them. So what I was being told, and what a friend of mine very gently said was, I've watched you now, Liz, for 30 years do this. And I think you really need a different kind of help. And there's a 12-step program for people who have sex and love addiction. And I think you might want to go check it out.
So then did you decide that day that you heard the voice from God that I'm going to now go back and tell Rayya that I can no longer be a part of this story? Tell us about that moment.
I actually ended up leaving and going and staying with a friend for a few weeks because I was so out of my mind. I mean, I was also so I was so far from myself. Mm-hmm. I was so completely lost. She's been awful. And she's in such a rage that I just couldn't do it anymore. And other people have had to step in and take care of her and just said, look, I'm living at my sister's apartment. I'm 10 minutes away. My phone is always on. And whatever you need is taken care of. Chunky's needs are taken care of. Like, I'm still 100% providing for you in every way. And whatever you want to do. And she was like, I don't want to see you. I started going to 12-step meetings during that time for codependency, for, people who are Al-Anon, people who are family members of addicts, sex and love addiction. Like I got what they call smart feet in the rooms where I started taking myself to a couple meetings
Had it
a day.
occurred to you that you had a sex and love addiction up until this point?
I mean, I knew I was no one's going to look at my relationship history and say that is an emotionally stable person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I laid it all out and
That's why I think the book is going to be so freeing, liberating for so many women who are going to recognize themselves in your story.
Yes.
They're going to say, oh, I've done that, or I do that. I've gone from boyfriend to boyfriend, or partner to partner, girlfriend to girlfriend, and haven't really assessed it. You're just like looking for the right person.
And culture's telling you, keep looking.
And culture's telling you to keep looking.
Right? And all the movies are telling you, like, he's out there, she's out there, you're going to find it, your magical love story, right?
Yes.
So we're being sold this. At the same, I don't want to blame culture for myself, but it's also part of it, I mean, if I had been acting out with alcohol and cocaine and heroin the way I acted out in relationships, my friends would have had an intervention for me years ago. I mean, they kind of did. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't going to listen to anybody. I mean, people were always saying, do you want to take a break? Do you want to pause before you go into the next? This seems a little sudden. Do you really want to get married? You just met this person. I was like, yes, I'm a passionate person.
Yes.
And I am a passionate person. But I was abandoning myself again and again and again. And for me, what emotional sobriety looks like is no abandonment of self. That's my definition of emotional sobriety for me. No abandonment of self. And I was constantly abandoning myself and undermining myself and selling myself short.
What did Rayya do when you said, I can no longer be a part of the story?
She went back home to Michigan. So the day came where I finally did say, I can't be in this story anymore. It's too degrading. And an old friend helped her to get clean. And she got off all the illegal drugs. Miraculously, she was a hospice patient. She had no motive. I mean, that was part of the reason I couldn't threaten her, because how do you threaten a hospice patient? What, if you keep doing these drugs, you're going to die. She's like, I'm already dying, bitch. I can do whatever I want. Like she had a full pass. Like she got a big case of what they call in the rooms, the fuckets, right? Yeah. She got a big case of the fuckets. She was like, I can do whatever I want because I'm dying anyway.
In 6 months.
And I was sort of like, I can do whatever.
The prognosis was 6 months.
Yeah.
How long?
A year and a half, because she was made out of titanium.
Wow.
And she lived on drugs and alcohol and like ring dings and hot dogs the whole time. It wasn't like she was like doing anything nutritious, but she was really tough. You can't, even pancreatic cancer had a tough time killing Rayya.
Wow.
She was tough. So she got clean. She got clean. And so we never got back to the intimacy we had. But I did get to have a sober Rayya at the end of her life, and she did die clean. And we were able to have a conversation about what had happened and a little bit of reconciliation.
Well, I have to say, you write extensively about your own recovery journey. I really want people to read the book to find out how you did it. It's a long process.
Yeah.
It's always ongoing, right?
Yeah.
You're entirely now off of any mood altering substances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, of course, that's people.
Which means you're still celibate too. Can I say that?
Yeah,
word?
and that is not a requirement of recovery in my program. But for me, my higher power, a lot of times when people come into the recovery program I came into, it's suggested that you do 90 days of no contact with anybody you're involved with, or a year of celibacy. A year of celibacy in 90 days is nothing for somebody who's been deep in the pain in this addiction for 35 uninterrupted years. I have been abandoning myself into other people from the minute I could, right? I have never given myself, with the exception of 9 months of Eat, Pray, Love, when I was on my own. That's the only time in my life I had ever been on my own. Before I met a man who then showered love on me, I was like, okay, I'll marry you. But never had I been on my own. Always enmeshed and entangled in one person after another. So for me, I put it down when I came into the rooms. I was like, this is a living amends to all those younger versions of myself who never had the opportunity to know who they were, to learn how to thrive. So for me, this has been the period of my life where I've been in this blooming, there's a stunted emotional growth. If you're constantly in relationship with other people, you never get to learn how to provide for yourself in a deep emotional and spiritual way. And that's what my journey has been.
What do you want to say to anyone who may be listening or watching us who may be feeling powerless or certainly ashamed? I think, first of all, you read this book, you will not be ashamed anymore to admit whatever is going on with you, because you have poured out your soul and showed us that there is love for yourself on the other side.
Yeah.
So what do you want to say to those people who are in a situation right now? Obviously, there are people who are watching us and listening to us who are in an unimaginable situation.
Yeah.
What do you want to say?
Well, first of all, you aren't alone. And part of the reason that I think I wanted to write a book that was so raw and so honest was, it's like, look, I'm the Eat, Pray, Love lady, and look what I got into. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the Eat, Pray, Love lady with 20 years of a spiritual journey behind me, 30 years of therapy behind me, all the resources in the entire world, the admiration of the entire world, and look what I got into, right? So it's okay. We all end up at various times in our life very, very far away from ourselves. It can happen to anybody. So that's the first thing that I would want to say is, you are my sister. I see you. I see you. I know you. I am you. You know? So come and hang out with me, like if you're feeling ashamed. And the second thing I want to say is that there is a dignity that awaits you when you put all the things that you've been using to not have to feel, when you put those things down and you sit with yourself through the worst feelings of your entire journey, and you lay comfort upon yourself, and you be with yourself, and you say to yourself the words that you always so deeply wished that somebody else would say to you, right? That's what I started doing, was writing myself these letters from love, from unconditional love, where I would pour into me what I have always wanted to hear. I knew what I needed to hear because I've been trying to manipulate people into saying it to me forever. What I want you to say to me, but I started to say it to me, was, I will never leave you. That is the primary thing. I will never leave you. I am not going anywhere. I have got you. I am with you. You don't even have to get well, and I will never leave you. I see you. I know everything you've done, and I love you, and I will never leave you. I believe now, I've come to believe that God, what I call God, higher power, the great mystery, gave me this spirit to steward through life, this soul, this being. And I like to believe that it was given to me because God believed I could take care of it. If God didn't think I could take care of it, they wouldn't have given it to me.
Absolutely.
They gave me. And I don't think I'd ever fully taken responsibility for me. And when I was first told in the rooms of recovery that you have to take responsibility for yourself, I was so angry because I've been told that since the day I was born. I want someone else to take responsibility for me. And they were like, okay, go back out there and try that again. Try that again. See how it works. Or you can pick up that child and say, you're mine. I've got you. And I'm going to walk through the rest of this journey with you. And that's what I'm doing. That's the relationship that I'm in right now. So the reversal of obsession is that person comes first, I come second, God comes last. That's what love addiction looks like. The healing properties for me is you reverse that. God first, me second, everybody else. Right? That's now the
Amen
new,
to that.
the new
Amen to
healing.
that. And the hair?
Well, the hair was, I've been dreaming about doing this for years. I think it's really cool when women have shaved heads. And I was always like, I can't do it. I'm a public figure. I've got to look a certain way. I've got to be media ready. I have to, and I'm a love addict. I'm trying to get people to love me. So I'm always trying to look pretty.
Yeah.
Right. And somewhere about 3 years into being celibate and being on my own, I was like, I just want to do this. Like, I just want to do this. And the final moment of it that made me do it was that I was at an event in New York City, a media event with a lot of people around my age, our age. And I looked around the room and every single one of the men had buzzed hair, or they were bald, or they were graying, short hair. They all had natural faces, and they were all wearing comfortable clothes. And every single one of the women had some kind of pretty girl hair that I know how much it costs. I can price it out. Like, I know how much it costs to get that straightened, to get that, because I used to do all that stuff. Colored, trimmed. They all had very expensive hair. They had very expensive faces.
Yes.
Like, I could see what they were doing to their faces, and I know because I did all that too. And they were wearing very uncomfortable clothes. And I had this moment of rage where I looked around the room and I'm like, why are men allowed to be comfortable? Why are men allowed to age naturally? And why are men just allowed to be at ease? And then I was like, well, I could just sit here complaining about unfair beauty standards, or I can just claim that entitlement for myself and just say, I'm not going to wait for the culture to change. I'm going to be as comfortable as a man. And so I just went to CVS and got some clippers and I buzzed my hair. And at that point, the decision I made was like, I'm going to be post-beauty. I don't care. I just don't care. I just want to be comfortable. I want to jump into oceans and lakes and rivers. I want to be free. Because so much of my sobriety, my emotional sobriety, my recovery is about this growing feeling of freedom, like this lack of dependency. I'm like, I just want to celebrate this freedom. I don't even care if it's ugly. And then I shaved it off and I was like, I think it looks good.
I think it looks good.
Like,
You
I
have
like
the head
it.
shape for it. You have the head shape for it.
Well, every single woman I have met when I talk about my hair says, I don't have the head shape for it. Is that true? Do we all have weird shaped heads? Or have we all been told that there's, even in this regard, something fundamentally wrong with us? Right?
Maybe I do have the head
I
shape
am just
for it.
saying. Because
I'm just
I
saying.
also, for years, didn't do it because I was like, I don't have the right head shape for it.
I don't have the
and
right
now
head shape.
I can guarantee, I can count down. What happens is a woman will say, oh my God, that must be amazing. You look so free. And then I hear 5, 4, 3, 2. I don't have the right head
I
shape.
don't have the right head shape for it.
And
yes.
it's like, you have been told that every single part of you is wrong. From head to toe, every single part of you.
Yes. So let me ask you this. Do you feel cured, or those urges still show up if you were to meet somebody?
Oh.
How?
I'm an addict, Oprah.
You're an
Don't
addict.
get me wrong. You know
Okay.
what I mean? Like, just for today, let's just stay in 12-step recovery language. Just for today, I'm doing really well. You know, like, I have a deep respect for my addiction and the power of it. And that's why I go to a 12-step meeting every single day in various fellowships that I belong to. I sponsor people. That helps me stay sober. I have a sponsor. I turn things over in the rooms that I don't want people to know about me. Like, I work a program, and I work a very, very disciplined program. But the main thing that I do is that every single morning when I wake up, I open my notebook and I do this thing that's called two-way prayer that the original founders of AA actually said was the most important thing that an addict in recovery can have, is a direct communion with the higher power of their understanding. And they gave a lot of liberal concept to what your understanding is, whatever that needs to be. But I open up my notebook and I write these words, Dear God, what would you have me know today? And then I download from my higher power what I need for the day. My life has become, and I know you get this, all I want to do is be of service. So if I stay well and I stay sober and I don't throw my life into somebody else's life, and I communicate with my higher power every day, then I have the opportunity every single day to be of service. And in this morning's two-way prayer, God was like, you're going to go talk to the nice lady. That's what God calls you. You're going to go talk to the nice lady.
Thank you, God. Yeah.
God said, you're going to go talk to the nice lady. And I just want you to answer the questions. This isn't about you. This interview isn't for you. It's for whoever is listening.
Yes.
So whatever questions arise, I want you to tell the truth. And that's how you'll serve me today.
I thank you so much.
I thank you.
I thank you so much. I thank you for this book, All the Way to the River. And I love the way the title was chosen about who's going to be the friend that walks with you all the way to the river and not just to 34th Street, but all the way to the river. I hope you all have all the way to the river, friends. It's about love and loss and liberation. And it is your soul on the pages as an act of service to everyone who reads it.
Thank you so much.
So you did that thing, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
You did that thing. It's available wherever books are sold. Audience, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I love you.
Before we go, I want to share a quick thing with all of you readers. I recently published something I'm excited about. It's called The Book Lover's Journal. And here's what's great. Has over 100 prompts, like the first book that made you feel seen and the book that reminded you of what matters most, all designed to enhance your reading experience. It's a great gift for book lovers, and I hear book clubs are using it when they meet, which makes me so happy. I write about some of my favorite books in first sentences, and it is available anywhere you buy books. And audience, you're all going home with a copy where you can journal all your favorite quotes. And you have a giveaway of your own. What is it?
So I make these stickers. I designed them with my friend Margaret, and the designer is a young woman named Michelle Moosley, who just graduated from design school. It says, "You are loved." I make them in thousands, and I give them away to everybody I meet. Any human I encounter anywhere, I hand them to them. So I brought one for all of you today. So these will be in your bags as well. I think my part-time job is writer. My full-time job is handing stickers out that say, "You are loved."
You are loved. You are
to
loved.
everybody in the world, because I think that's what we also desperately need to hear.
Well, thanks to our phenomenal partner, Starbucks, for welcoming us here to Starbucks headquarters today. What better place to enjoy good books, good coffee, and good company? The pairing this month is the pumpkin spice latte. Perfect for fall. Go well, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you.